I think the more challenging the time that you lead a profession, the better, providing you feel you're up to the challenge. And this is an incredibly interesting time to lead the profession, because you've got legislation which potentially will alter the way barristers work and have worked for hundreds of years. And the big question is, firstly, whether there's any need for those changes, and if any changes are made, whether it's going to help the public more than we help them at the moment. And that's, I think, a fairly major issue.
One of the changes that has most enraged barristers is the government's plan to cap the legal aid budget.
So if you practice in crime, most criminal cases are publicly funded by the state, and therefore barristers practicing in criminal work and also in family work are receiving fees which are lower fees. You can't keep cutting the amount you pay if you're increasing the pressures. At some point, something's got to give.
It is a very concerning time for the bar, particularly in the areas of practice which my chambers is involved with. We're seeing the gross income of chambers reducing. We've got to be prepared for the change, and we have to hope that we can see new opportunities that keep the bar alive. We wouldn't be bringing people into chambers if we thought we had no future at all, but we still have got to consider that the way things are today are not going to be the way things are in 5 years' time.
And it's barristers like Kokoli that will be most affected by these changes to funding. Her trial is becoming more complicated. The prosecution have abandoned a plan to raise previous allegations about her client's character, but that doesn't help her case, and she wants advice.
So I was ready to oppose a bad character application in relation to my client, because there was a lot of kind of past allegations of him beating up his ex-partner. But they were never brought to court, never cautioned, nothing, it was just allegations. Okay, and they were going to bring those forward. They're quite dated, but the prosecution would say, well, no, this propensity to act in this manner shows a jealous relationship with his with women. Now they've withdrawn that, but I was aiming to oppose it, but then forward my own bad character application in relation to her, because she's got dishonesty offences from 2001 and then one recently for benefit fraud. And the reason I want, especially the last one, to go in is because it shows sort of a motive for why she's brought this allegation against him.
If I were you, the trouble is, once you bring up your allegation, they'll be able to remake their application.
Well, he said he's not going to.
Well then, why don't you try and have your cake and eat it? Do you think you're on strong ground putting the benefit forward and all of that? Or do you think it's just
only because it enables me to have some cross-examination later? Because we're saying this has all come from the fact that you want to get your own back on him. And we've got a statement from somebody else who says this was actually discussed with me, and the complainant definitely wants to get her own back.
Well, that's quite a good defence point, isn't it?
I think so.
I think you've got better ammo with it in than
out. Yeah. Okay.
You've got to give her as hard a time as you can, haven't you, on his behalf?
Yeah.
Particularly where there's an allegation of dishonesty.
Yeah.
Lying to the state effectively about her benefits. You're probably damned if you do and damned if you don't, but...
Yeah. Well, that's quite...
Try it. Okay, good luck.
Thank you.
But there's even more trouble brewing for Kokoli. At her chambers, some of the barristers have objected to the latest tenancy appointments. With legal aid being squeezed, they fear there won't be enough work to go round.
Well, at the moment, the objections are in relation to one of the candidates only. That is, in fact, Kokoli. There is a concern that we have been too generous in our optimism and I think that'll be voiced. And it is fair to say that the debate may very much be between some of the younger members of the chambers who may feel that they are more under threat by the candidates than those who are further up the door.
Kokoli has been summoned back to chambers to face her 30 colleagues. It will be the greatest test of her advocacy so far.
Quite distressing, really, especially when you know, there was the initial elation of being taken on. Then I feel as if I've moved on from that, and I'm now doing my first Crown Court trial. And in and amongst the stress of doing that, I now have to turn my mind to, again, going through the whole process of putting myself up for tenancy again for the second time in the same place, which is a difficult and humiliating experience, if I'm honest.
It's a fair point to say that informing a successful candidate at one point that they have succeeded as far as the decision is concerned, and then having to tell them later, well, actually, it is open to challenge in a full meeting, is unpleasant. But they know the Constitution. They are all aware of how the selection process takes place, and I tell each candidate that the decision of the Tenancy Committee is one which is subject to the ratification of chambers.
I just have to show them that I'm made of stronger substance than they have perhaps given me credit for.
I don't think this is a disaster for Kokoli if she's not taken on. I think it's fair to say that, of course, it's a personal knockback because this is a very pressurised world, and she has tried very hard and she has clearly impressed a number of people. But from what I know of her, she has a depth of character that I would think she will pick herself up and she will seek a third 6 months elsewhere, and she will succeed.
As Kokoli fights to hold on to her position in chambers, Iqbal is ready to join the ever-increasing number of new barristers. He is one of over 600 students to be called to the bar at Middle Temple this year.
So this is my little brother, Danish. Say hello.
Hello.
So he's at primary school. Hopefully he's going to become a solicitor or a barrister. That's my mum, in the red.
No, just turn this way a little bit.
My mum's quite happy now, and she's very proud of me as well. I think it's really sunk in how big an achievement it is, because when she tells people that my son's a barrister, their eyes sort of light up and they say, wow, that's amazing. So I think she's quite happy now with me.
Master Treasurer, I present Iqbal Mohammed.
Mr. Mohammed, in the name of the Masters of the Bench, I call you to the degree of the utter bar.
Paul Allen Phillips.